fucking love video games. And every time a trailer comes online, we see hundreds and hundreds of comments from the fans. Like, why don't we see a movie like this? Or why can't we have a series like this? And we could not agree more.
One of the biggest announcements to come out of Gamescom opening night live was the reveal of Prime Video's Secret Level, an animated anthology series inspired by various video games. It's from the creators of Netflix's Love, Death and Robots, which was awesome, so the idea of that formula being applied to a handful of established video game IPs has a lot of people excited. But here's the thing, we've already seen a bunch of awesome video game inspired shorts from some of the people responsible for Love, Death and Robots in the portfolio of Blur Studios. The biggest name attached to Secret Level is Tim Miller, who's best known for directing the first Deadpool movie, but he's also one of the founders of Blur Studio, a visual effects studio that's produced cutting-edge CGI sequences for a wide range of clients.
Like Quake, Star Wars, Warhammer, Call of Duty.
Love, Death and Robots actually began as a new take on the adult animation classic Heavy Metal in collaboration with director David Fincher. He would in turn hire Blur to handle the title sequence for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is arguably one of the coolest things ever animated. Most of Blur's portfolio, however, is dedicated to game trailers. Cinematic game trailers have always been divisive among gamers as a form of marketing, since they always have more polished graphics than the product they're promoting and usually oversell how exciting the actual gameplay will be. After all, they're advertisements. That said, when viewed outside of the context of a marketing campaign or an E3 presentation, they're essentially just short films, and Blur has made some of the best ones ever. Rocksteady's Batman games are no slouch in the visuals department, but they look like the Adam West show when compared to Blur's cinematic trailers for Arkham City, Arkham Origins, and Arkham Knight. Meanwhile, Blur's also given Industrial Light and Magic a run for its money with trailers for a few Star Wars games, like The Force Unleashed 1 and 2, plus a handful of cinematics that made the Old Republic's various expansion seem considerably more expansive. These were released during a relative lull for Star Wars media, after the prequels but before the Disney buyout. So, seeing that galaxy far, far away presented so cinematically was extremely welcome.
And now your republic shall fall.
Halo fans are likely very familiar with Blur's work, whether they realise it or not, as the studio was in charge of overhauling the cutscenes in the Master Chief Collection, as well as making them from scratch for both Halo Wars games.
I know you. Yeah, I know.
Occasionally, the cinematics are just full-on shorts, like the one Blur did for Far Cry 3 called Stranded.
Not yet. Here we are.
This one in particular shows Blur's talent for translating a sprawling piece of interactive media into a bite-sized linear one, and it literally offers a different perspective.
Let's hit it. Do some exploring.
Far Cry 3 is entirely first person, but Stranded shows its protagonist Jason Brody from the outside. And sure, it was intended as marketing material to hype people up, but in hindsight, it's a really cool piece of supplemental media to an awesome game.
You getting this? You recording? Oh, yeah. My man Jason brings the heat.
Hey, put your down. Go now. Go.
Okay, we got it. We're leaving.
In several cases, Blur's made trailers for games that have failed to materialize. Prey eventually got a sequel. It wasn't the Prey 2 that got a lot of people's attention back at E3 2011, thanks to Blur's very slick cinematic trailer. Gameplay was shown off too, but the project was ultimately cancelled, which makes Blur's trailer an interesting relic.
Capture device enabled.
No, wait! I paid double, triple! They're using
Mr. Brooks, how would you describe yourself?
Well, I like to think of myself as a people person.
Insomniac's Overstrike may look and sound like an Overwatch knockoff, but it actually predates Blizzard's hero shooter by a few years. It was eventually rebranded as Fuse and given a substantial visual overhaul before launching and landing with a thud.
Then how do you explain the collateral damage your team leaves in its wake?
Enthusiasm?
Cliff Bleszinski's ill-fated multiplayer shooter Lawbreakers was released, but then subsequently cancelled. The servers might be offline, but the cinematic is still up. You can go watch gameplay too, but revisiting the trailer is just as entertaining. Activision commissioned Blur to make a trailer for True Crime Hong Kong before pulling the plug on development. Thankfully, the project was scooped up by Square Enix and released as the truly criminally underrated Sleeping Dogs, but watching that original reveal trailer hints at how the original version might have a slightly different tone.
Going undercover, you'll have to make sacrifices. You have to understand that your life as a regular cop, a regular person, is over.
It's hard to say which will see the light of day first, Netflix's BioShock show, the eternally kicked around BioShock movie, or a new BioShock game, but at least we have Blur's absolutely gorgeous trailer for BioShock Infinite, which may have created some sky-high expectations for Columbia prior to the game's release, but is pretty awesome to revisit knowing the context. Video game adaptations are better than they've ever been, but they're still easy to screw up. A big budget feature film or streaming series based on Pac-Man, Mega Man, or Spelunky sounds iffy to say the least, but a big budget, tightly scripted, animated short, that's another story. So maybe that's the secret that Secret Level has figured out. We don't have to wait long to see for ourselves. Prime Video's series premieres December the 10th. In the meantime, go rewatch some cinematic trailers.
It is our love letter to games. And you can watch the series on Amazon Prime Video on December 10th. Not too far now. So enjoy. Thank you.